It's been a decade since I last visited this country. Coming back, it's a place where all the things, the smell, the sounds, the details are familiar to me. Flying in from Bangkok, landing in the streets of Jakarta feels like sliding into a warm, comforting, familiar bed. But it's a bed in a different land, a land called Indonesia. Zip down a side alley and it's an ancient culture. A block away, this, an ultra-modern metropolis. But everywhere you go, that constant sound of construction. And for many, this is a sound of progress. Although Jakarta is translating its newfound prosperity into economic growth, density has a downside. It's 5 a.m. in Bekasi. Residents from here make up the largest source of commuters from outside the capital. Paras's daily commute to work involves a daily fight for space. 2 trains, a long walk, and a local minibus. 2.5 hours for a 30-kilometer trip.
Biasanya kalau kita pulang kerja karena macet, traffic ini, jadi kita pulang kerja tuh keluarga sudah pada tidur, jadi kita langsung tidur seperti itu. Jadi tidak ada berkumpul.
It is said that an average Indonesian spends more than 400 hours a year commuting in Jakarta. That's 10 years of their life, the most compared to other major Asian cities. The infrastructure simply isn't in place to handle this much traffic. But things are changing, track by track, tunnel by tunnel, and it's full speed ahead.
One of the biggest investment projects in the country is a high-speed railway.
Indonesia's first high-speed railway project, which is being built by China, has finally started to make tracks.
It all began in 2013, when President Xi Jinping debuted the Belt and Road Initiative as a signature foreign policy, paving the way to the future and reinvent cities.
中国愿同东盟国家加强海上合作，使用好中国政府设立的中国东盟海上合作基金，发展好海洋合作伙伴关系，共同建设21世纪海上丝绸之路。
The plan for Indonesia was for a high-speed railway, the first in the country, the fastest in southern Asia, an $8 billion infrastructure project that will link Jakarta to Bandung, Indonesia's third largest city. And what you see here is more than just a railway. A railway serves as an economic circulatory system in any given economy.
The mobility with the vehicle can shift to the mass transportation. It means that the existence of this high-speed train will be able to facilitate the mobility and connectivity itself, but also to become a competitive advantage for our country to compete with other countries.
Given the brutal magnitude of the capital and technological outlays required for entry into the rail market, this industry is neither for the faint of heart nor those limited in ambition. But this consortium of Indonesian and Chinese companies building this railroad is prepared to get the job done.
A really win-win cooperation on the way to the prosperity together. You know, the high-speed railway is an advanced infrastructure, and it relates to the transfer of the technology and knowledge. So it will promote the level of the public service or the transportation for Indonesia side.
More than 85% of workers here are Indonesian. This project alone is expected to offer as many as 30,000 jobs to local workers. 4 stations, 13 tunnels, and this is the last one.
The high-speed railway operation will start middle of 2023. I have the confidence.
Right now, the road from Jakarta to Bandung weaves through the edges of forests, where constant traffic means a 150-kilometer trip can take more than 4 hours. But very soon, that same trip will take less than 40 minutes, and cities connected to this network will likely explode. Cities such as Bandung, a city of culture and history, some of the most significant moments in history. These walls tell a story. 67 years ago, during the height of the Cold War, 29 nations gathered here in Bandung and laid the foundation for a non-aligned movement. They walked, joined hands, determined to carve their own future. What they achieved defines the shape of the world today, immortalized in what is known as the Bandung spirit, which was inherited and developed by the 5 principles for peaceful coexistence proposed by China.
The historical walks depicting that we are all together, working together as nations of the world, fighting for independence, fighting for their sovereignty, and also the international cooperation.
In 2015, the Bandung spirit was revitalized. Together, they followed those same footsteps that their predecessors took half a century before.
1955年，中国和印尼两国同其他亚非国家携手合作，在万隆会议上共同倡导了以和平共处、求同存异为核心的万隆精神。万隆精神至今仍是国与国相处的重要准则，为推动建设新型国际关系做出了不可磨灭的历史贡献。
And for Indonesia, it's in its cooperation with China to lift millions of its citizens out of poverty. Because through all the prosperity, money, growth, high rises, there's still this side of Indonesia. This is the other side. The side where more than 20 million inhabitants across more than 3,000 slums live among the tangled sheets of corrugated iron, the mountains of trash. Bulldoze them, relocate them to the outskirts of the city, and they will inevitably sprout up again, feeding the very same problems that Indonesia is trying to escape. We travel to Central Java, where cities are adopting new approaches, new strategies. They must be doing something right. Central Java has managed to reduce around 57% of total slum areas since 2014. The sheer scale of this endeavor needed recognition in investment that China was prepared to provide.
中国愿同有关各方一道推进“一带一路”建设，共同建设好亚洲基础设施投资银行，发挥好
The National Slum Upgrading Program, the first joint co-financing between China-backed AIIB and the World Bank, that would benefit more than 9.7 million urban poor across the country. For almost 20 years, Sumini, her husband and her grandchild have lived here in this one-room home. Inside, cramped, stuffy, a simple curtain affording their only privacy. But today marks a new beginning. The tough living conditions she once endured, now replaced with a sleek, freshly painted new build.
Bersyukurlah kita dikasih rumah ini, kita lagi dapat bekerja lagi, sini luas sekali. Di sana sini kecil, tidak bisa di... Dulu kotor, kumuh, sering banjir, kadang-kadang sakit, tidak karuan lah, kumuh sekali.
About 80 kilometers south in Yakarta, it is hard to believe that this was once a slum, once a labyrinth of pathways that twisted through the chaotic landscape. The paths have now been widened, welcoming tourists to explore the nooks and crannies that now resemble parks, which in turn feeds their local economy.
Muncul di sini, kemudian sekarang pada dilirik, dilihat, dijadikan studi banding, dan dari Kementerian PU sendiri itu menjadi role model nasional.
No longer a place of degradation and hard times. No longer a poverty trap, but a waiting room to enter a better life.
With the help of World Bank and AIIB, Indonesian government is aimed to be slum-free in 2030. They have a lot of technical assistance how to effectively alleviate the slum.
Because behind the bridges, the ballparks, the beautiful buildings, is a kind of soul, a population that is seeing tangible benefits from the cooperation of two nations whose relationship have stood the test of time. And after more than 70 years of diplomatic ties, China and Indonesia are forging ahead, riding the train to prosperity.